Good morning, I'm Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa set to arrive Nepal for a one-day state visit today, scheduled to pay courtesy call to President Paudel and Prime Minister Daha. Gandaki Province Chief Minister Kagaj Adhikari scheduled to take the vote of confidence during the Provincial Assembly meeting today. At least 57 people dead and dozens unaccounted for due to rains in Brazil's southernmost state. More than 32,000 displaced due to storms. And Real Madrid wins a record-extending 36th La Liga title after Barcelona were beaten by Girona. The Japanese Minister for Foreign Affairs Yoko Kamikawa is set to arrive Nepal for a one-day state visit today. She is scheduled to arrive Kathmandu from Sri Lanka. The ministry has said that all preparations for the high-level visit from Japan has been complete. She is scheduled to hold an official dialogue with Deputy Prime Minister Narankaji Shrestha. Foreign Minister Kamikawa is also scheduled to pay her courtesy call to President Ramchandra Paudel and Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal and will leave for Japan this evening. The bilateral relations between Nepal and Japan was established 68 years ago. Nepal had set up its embassy in Japan in the year 1965. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, former Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono had visited Nepal 5 years ago. This is the first high-level visit to Nepal from Japan since then. The meeting of the Gandaki Provincial Assembly has been called for today. Chief Minister of Gandaki Province, Kagaj Adhikari, is scheduled to take the vote of confidence during the meeting later today. Speaker Krishna Dhital said that a proposal had been presented for the Chief Minister to take the vote of confidence during the Provincial Assembly meeting today. Prior to this, Adhikari had called the Provincial Assembly meeting to clear the floor test. However, the opposition parties had not reached the parliament, citing a case against the Chief Minister was under consideration at the Apex Court. Adhikari has geared up to take the confidence vote after the Supreme Court termed his appointment as the Chief Minister legitimate. Chief Minister Adhikari requires vote from at least 31 Provincial Assembly members to clear the floor test. 22 Provincial Assembly members from CPN-UML, 8 from CPN-Maoist Centre along with the Speaker and independent candidate Deepak Manange is in favour of Adhikari. Meanwhile, Rashtriya Prajatantra Party that has 2 seats to its name has yet to make a decision in this regard. The government has decided the printing of a new 100 rupee note along with the new political map of Nepal that includes Kalapani, Limpiadhura and Lipu Lake. The KP Sharma Oli-led government had issued the country's new political map on 20th of May 2020, including the territories that had been occupied by India. The Parliament approved the new map of the country with majority on 13th of June the same year by amending the constitution. However, the Nepali territories have still remained occupied by India. India has denied to return the occupied land to Nepal. Meanwhile, Nepal has neither raised the issue in the United Nations nor informed about the matter to the representatives of diplomatic entities based on Nepal. Political parties seem united on this matter. However, they have failed to discuss the matter with the Indian authorities. Former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli had visited India after issuing the new map of Nepal. Likewise, former Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba and Premier Pushpakamal Dahal also went for a state visit to India. However, none of them could hold a concrete discussion on the issue. Indian Minister for Foreign Affairs S. Jaishankar has expressed dissatisfaction over the government's decision to feature Nepal's new political map in 100 rupee note. Addressing the question asked during a regular press briefing, the Indian Foreign Minister said that India had a clear view in this regard. He said that the border-related issues must be solved between the two countries and that discussions made by Nepal, the decision made by Nepal unanimously would not be legitimate. He added that the issue must be resolved through bilateral talks. Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question: why has the Prime Minister raised doubt on the smooth operation of the budget session? The options are A. No agreement with the opposition, B. Lack of initiative, and C. Problem within the alliance. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. 2 houses and 10 cowsheds have been completely destroyed in a fire-related incident in Jugar of Triveni Rural Municipality of Rolpa. Rolpa Police Administration has said that 2 houses of Triveni Rural Municipality, Ward number 4 and 6, and 10 cowsheds have been completely destroyed after the wildfire in a nearby forest that had started on Thursday last week entered the settlement. The wildfire in the forest of Triveni's Ward number 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7 has yet to be brought under control. Meanwhile, Sudeep Ojha's house in Bhugdev of Kavre's Bethanchok Rural Municipality has been engulfed by fire that was triggered by a short circuit. Police have said that the fire was brought under control with the joint efforts of the local residents. Chairperson of Bethanchok Rural Municipality, Kagaj Adhikari, has said that the loss due to the fire has been estimated to be around 2 million rupees. Time now for international update. The death toll from rains in Brazil's southernmost state of Rio Grande do Sul rose to 57, local authorities have said, while dozens still have not been accounted for. Rio Grande do Sul's Civil Defense Authority said 67 people were still missing and more than 32,000 had been displaced as storms have affected nearly 2/3 of the 497 cities in the state, which borders Uruguay and Argentina. Floods destroyed roads and bridges in several regions of the state. The storm also triggered landslides and the partial collapse of a dam at a small hydroelectric power plant. A second dam in the city of Bento Gonçalves is also at risk of collapsing. In Porto Alegre, the capital of Rio Grande do Sul, the Guaíba River broke its banks, flooding streets. Porto Alegre's international airport has suspended all flights for an indefinite period. More rains could hit the northern regions of the state, according to Brazil's National Institute of Meteorology, and authorities urged people living in areas at risk to seek shelter elsewhere. An arrest warrant has been issued against Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky by Ministry of the Interior of Russia. A corresponding entry has appeared in the police database. According to the entry, Zelensky is wanted over a Russian Criminal Code article. The exact article is not disclosed. Volodymyr Zelensky was born on January 25, 1978. In 2019, he became the president of Ukraine. Russia has issued arrest warrants for a number of Ukrainian and other European politicians since the start of the conflict with Ukraine in February 2022. Russia also issued an arrest warrant for the International Criminal Court prosecutor who last year prepared Putin's war crimes warrant. Meanwhile, Ukrainian Defense Ministry main intelligence directorate deputy head Vadim Skiblitsky believes that Kyiv will not be able to win an armed conflict on the battlefield alone and pointed to negotiations as a condition for ending hostilities. He explained that even if Ukraine were able to push Russian forces back to the borders, an increasingly distant prospect, it wouldn't end the war and that such conflicts could only end with talks. He added that meaningful negotiations can begin only in the second half of 2025 at the earliest. The indirect talks between Hamas and Israel that are taking place in Cairo have achieved no progress so far and will resume today. The group's spokesperson said that yesterday's talks with mediators in Cairo did not bring any serious changes. Al-Haddad has reported that Hamas agreed to release 33 hostages as part of the first phase of the Gaza settlement deal with Israel. In a statement released last night, Hamas said it wanted to mature the agreement on the table, which suggests there are areas where the two sides still disagree. The main issue appears to involve whether the ceasefire deal would be permanent or temporary. Hamas is insisting any deal makes a specific commitment towards an end to the war, but Israel is reluctant to agree while the group remains active in Gaza. It's thought the wording being discussed involves a 40-day pause in fighting. U.S. and Israeli representatives attending the talks in Egyptian capital believe that any potential agreement to set a temporary ceasefire and release hostages held in Gaza would be followed by more talks. Reaching a final agreement will require several more days of dialogue. But according to some participants in the talks, even if Hamas accepts the proposal that was presented to it earlier, time will be needed to agree on specific details, which should eventually lead to a truce. Thousands of protesters rallied in Tel Aviv, demanding the release of around 130 hostages still held in Gaza after 6 months of Israel's war against Hamas. An Israeli official signaled Israel's core position was unchanged, saying it would under no circumstances agree to end the war in a deal to free hostages. The war began after Hamas stunned Israel with a cross-border raid on October 7, in which 1,139 people were killed and 252 hostages taken, according to Israeli tallies. More than 34,600 Palestinians have been killed, 32 of them in the most recent 24-hour period, and more than 77,000 have been wounded in Israel's assault, according to Gaza's health ministry. The bombardment has devastated much of the enclave. Protesters outside the University of Michigan Museum of Art were pushed back by police officers using their bicycles. Video shows at least 2 officers using the bikes to shove the crowd away from one of the museum's buildings before detaining at least 1 protester. The University of Michigan held a commencement ceremony yesterday, briefly interrupted by pro-Palestinian protesters. Videos shared on social media showed dozens of students wearing the traditional keffiyeh headdress and graduation caps and waving Palestinian flags as they walked down the center aisle of Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, among cheers and boos from a crowd of thousands. Thousands of pro-cannabis supporters took to the streets of Mexico City as part of a rally worldwide and called for a full legalization of the drug. Activists called for the decriminalization of the possession, cultivation, and consumption of medical and recreational cannabis, but one said clearer regulation was needed. In 2021, Mexico's Supreme Court of Justice declared it unconstitutional to criminalize the possession of more than 5 grams of marijuana for personal use. However, the law for its regularization has made minimal progress due to lack of consensus in the Senate. The rally is part of the Global Marijuana March, which has been held in various cities worldwide on the first Saturday of May since 1999. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa set to arrive Nepal for a one-day state visit today, scheduled to pay courtesy call to President Paudel and Prime Minister Daha. Gandaki Province Chief Minister Kagaj Adhikari scheduled to take the vote of confidence during the Provincial Assembly meeting today. At least 57 people dead and dozens unaccounted for due to rains in Brazil's southernmost state. More than 32,000 displaced due to storms. And Real Madrid wins a record-extending 36th La Liga title after Barcelona were beaten by Girona. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good day.